I want to give you some examples of what the media has done to you. I want to show videos 5 and 7 here. I've given dozens of these examples on the show, but I want to have you react to it. Sure. Now, for example, there was the 16 headlines against you in the Washington Post in 16 hours, which is amazing. And then we had Chris Cuomo asking you these questions. I want you to pay attention to how many times he asked you about how you're punishing people in this question. Watch.
You're paying for it is actually punitive. You're going to punish people who make money. You're going to punish the financial district. You're going to punish and wind up changing the idea of an open and free economy because you're going to punish them for speculating.
Now, I believe that we counted 4 punishes in there. So how come they never ask, hey, are you going to punish the kids of this country by spending $1 trillion in Iraq, et cetera? So
Jay,
now,
that is, you asked exactly the right question. Here's the story. I have been a mayor for 8 years, a congressman for 16, a U.S. senator for 9 years. Do you know how many times people in the media have said, Bernie, what are you going to do to end poverty in America? This is an outrage. We have 47 million people in poverty. What are you going to do about it, Bernie? The answer is 0.
Isn't
Not once.
Amazing?
But what is important is not that the media is quote unquote, right wing or whatever it is. It is they frame the discussion.
Exactly.
And that is what we have got to break through. Now, with Chris, and by the way, if you think Chris is the worst, he is not. There are a lot of other people who are a lot more conservative than Chris. Actually, he's treated me fairly well. But on this issue, what Chris could have said, well, Bernie, in the last 30 years, as you know, trillions of dollars, has been a massive redistribution of wealth. Trillions of dollars have gone from the hands of the middle class into the hands of the top 1/10 of 1%. Bernie, this is an outrage. What are you going to do about that? Well, that wasn't quite the question that I was asked. You know how often I'm asked that question? 0. My ideas are radical and realistic, but it is not radical when Wall Street, whose illegal behavior nearly destroyed this economy, gets bailed out. Oh, that's just the way we do things. But to try to help the children or young people afford to go to college, that is unrealistic.
So I've got one more for you. This one is Anderson Cooper. And again, look at the framing here, and I'm going to ask you to respond to it because no one else in the media asks you this because they are the media. And again, this is CNN owned by Time Warner. This was 4 questions in a row. We cut out your answers because you're already here. And all on Castro and Cuba. Watch.
Let me ask you about Cuba. President Obama is obviously in Cuba right now, a historic visit. As president, would you also make history? Would you invite Raul Castro, if he's still the leader of Cuba, to the White House? So normalized relations for you, that would mean even inviting a leader like Raul Castro to the White House as other leaders. The moderators played a video of you way back in 1985 in which you praised Fidel Castro. You said he educated their kids, gave them health care, totally transformed their society. Do you think the Cuban Revolution was good for the people of Cuba? At that debate, Hillary Clinton went after you for, in her words, essentially praising the regime of Fidel Castro. This is something in a general election would no doubt be used against you.
What we get frustrated about from time to time is that there's not adequate follow-up questions in the media. So Ted Cruz might say, oh, I'm going to rebuild the military and I'm going to spend all this money. And nobody ever asks how you're going to pay for that, right? But there you got 3 follow-up questions, all on Castro and Cuba, in an effort to frame you with that
At a time
regime.
when the Florida election was taking place, by the way.
That's right. So now the Republicans have done a pretty good job in fighting the media. They say you got a liberal bias, and then they get scared and they ask them about pina coladas and what kind of drinks they drink and how nice they are to their wives. Literal questions that same Anderson Cooper asked Ted Cruz and the others. So should you fight back harder and say, hey, wait a minute, you're biased against me, and I'm going to call you out on it?
I'll just give you an example. 2 hours ago, I did an interview on PBS, and I had to fight back because I could see where the discussion was going. I was going to get trapped in little stuff there, and I had to fight back and take over that discussion to talk about what my campaign is about. And I do that very often. Now, maybe I should do it more often. And maybe I say, hey, shut up. What you're talking about is irrelevant to where the American people are. Let me tell you what's going on in this country. Maybe I should do that. But trust me, virtually every interview we do, we have to fight